I really wish I could tell you guys that I planned on wearing Kiki's Delivery t-shirt today, but I really didn't. Hi guys, how's it going? My name is Liza. Welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be doing my October TBR. So I've been super excited for doing my October TBR and planning it out. I've been looking through different readathons and trying to figure out what I want to participate in, and I finally settled on the Just a Little Spookish readathon, which is hosted by Ashley over at Just a Little Bookish. So there's a list of prompts here that I want to get into. I've tried choosing books for every single prompt that's on the list, which I know is going to end up being completely overwhelming, but I want to take a shot at reading all these books anyway. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So the first book that I want to talk about is under the creepy prompt, and the prompt is a book with a supernatural character. Now for this prompt, I chose The Invisible Life of Addie Larue by V.E. Schwab. Now from what I understand, this book is about a girl who every time she meets people remember her, but then when she leaves their eyesight, they don't remember her anymore. So it really just reminds me of like a world that would exist if everybody in the universe didn't have any object permanence. It seems super weird, and I'm actually surprised that nobody else came up with the concept before now, but it looked really interesting. I had it recommended to me by a friend, and it looks like the kind of book that's right up my alley. The next prompt that we have for the creepy category is a mystery or thriller that takes place away from the character's home. And for this prompt, I chose Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Murillo Garcia. So this book follows the story of a woman who goes back to an old family home, and she ends up experiencing some really weird paranormal things at this house that she's been hanging out in. It seems really interesting, and it seems a little bit like creepy and dark, and it's given me like real Haunting of Hill House vibes, so I think that I'm gonna end up really enjoying it. I've heard that it has really good reviews, and so I'm excited to read that. The next prompt is choose a book with a black cover, and for this prompt I've chosen The Demon Next Door. This is by Brian Burrow, and it seems really fascinating. I believe it follows a serial killer and a woman who lives next door to him. I believe it's also based off of a true story, so I'm excited to start reading it and get a little bit more into the plot. The next prompt that we have is read a spooky book that's been made into a movie, and I'm actually doubling up on this one. I'm choosing Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I've heard so many good things about this, and I saw the trailer for the movie that's coming out, and it looks really interesting. It has like this mystery romantic vibe to it, and apparently it follows the story of this woman who lives in a marsh, and for some reason everybody in town hates her, but you don't really understand why. So it seems like a really interesting concept. It reminds me a lot of the South and like the swamplands in Florida in general. So I'm really excited. I think that I'll be able to relate to it really well, and I can't wait to update you guys when I read it. So the next prompt that we have is a true crime memoir, and for this I chose the graphic novel Hostage by Guy Diesel. Now I've read a few of Guy Diesel's books in the past, and I've absolutely loved them. Everything that I've read from that guy has been absolutely amazing, and it's all gotten at least 4 stars from me. So I think that it'll be really interesting and good. It looks super depressing from the color scheme, but I believe it's based off of an experience he had where he was in Russia and he actually got kidnapped. So it seems really interesting. It's told in a day-by-day format, which I found fascinating. And so I'm excited to hop into it and let you guys know what I think of it. So the other prompts that we have going on are going to be under the cozy category, and I'm really excited for these. I like the idea of mixing and matching some books in order to give myself a little bit of a break from like super creepy stuff. So we're gonna start going through these now, and they might have a little bit of a different vibe compared to the creepy prompts that I've been choosing books for up until this point. So the first cozy prompt that we have is read a book about falling in love. Now I actually chose 2 different books for this one. just so that I could switch off between different ones if I wasn't really in the mood to read like a mystery. So I thought that it would be a good idea to give myself a little bit of leeway just in case I wasn't in the mood for a certain one. So the first book that I've chosen for this prompt is Let's Play Volume 1, and this is by Leanne M. Kreknick. Now, this book follows the story of a girl who wants to become a game developer. It's a graphic novel. It's been really well done so far, and I've really liked the art, but it follows her story as she tries to become a game developer and get her foot in the door in some game developing companies. She ends up meeting this guy, and he ends up giving one of her games a bad review, and it goes from there as he tries to move into her apartment, and they end up meeting each other, and a romance ensues from there. So it's really interesting so far. I'm about halfway through it, and I'm excited to get more into it. The next choice that I have for this prompt is Where the Crawdads Sing, again by Delia Owens. I have been trying to read this book for probably months, and like I said before, it seemed like something that would be really good. Everybody's given it about 5 stars, and so I know that there's a lot of hype around it, and I want to be able to give my thoughts and opinions on it. So the next prompt that we have under the cozy category is a book with leaves on the cover. Now, this was the hardest prompt to fill on the planet. I think I spent days and days trying to find a book that would fit this prompt. And I finally ended up settling on Orange Volume 1 by Ichiko Takano. Now, this follows the story of a girl who gets a letter from herself in the future, and the letter is telling her that one of her friends is in trouble, and she has to try and figure out what happens, and she has to try and prevent his death. So it seems really interesting. I've been wanting to read this again forever, and I'm excited to be able to dive into it this month. The next prompt that we have is a book about family, and this is going to probably be no surprise what my choice is going to be for this one. This is going to be Snowflower and the Secret Fan by Lisa C. I have been reading this book for 100 years, and I'm probably like the last third of the way through at this point. I have about 3 hours left in the audiobook, and I'm wanting to finish it this week actually, if I can get the chance. It's very heavily centered around Chinese culture and family, and your relationship with your parents and your friends, and just everyday life stuff. I've really been enjoying it so far and liking it a lot, and my hope is that I'll have a wrap up for you that involves this book at the end of the month. The next prompt that we have is a book with magic, and for this I chose Los Gatos Black on Halloween. This is by Marissa Montez, and it's a child's book that talks about Halloween, and it introduces kids to different Spanish words as they try to learn the language. So I've actually already read this at this point. I really enjoyed it, but I'll have it in my wrap up at the end of the month. The last prompt that we have is read a book that's released between September 2022 and October 2022. And for this prompt, I chose I Walk Between Raindrops by Tc Boyle. This is a short story collection that has a lot of heavy satire to it about these people that live in this apartment. I've never read anything from this author before, but it looked really good, and it seemed like it had a bit of a comedic twist to it. So I'm interested to see if I like it. I think it's going to be one of those books where I either absolutely love it or I absolutely hate it. So we'll see how that goes. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. I really appreciate it. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed filming it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.